Ooh, fancy new loading screen, look, top left. So it's finally here, update 27.2, that literally they have just called Warframe Revisited, because there are 20, I don't know why they keep mentioning these 20 plus categories. A lot of it is basically just general fixes. There's not 20 plus things that are really kind of noteworthy. I mean, there is for all of the fixes, there is 20 plus things that have been changed, but a lot of them are just things that can be done in the background and nobody would really notice. Obviously, one of the big ones is the Rising Tide quest has had some changes to its costs. It now costs basically 66 to 75% reduced from what it was. And their build time is no longer 12 hours, it's 6 hours. So if you haven't started it, obviously everything will be cheaper and quicker. If you have started it, anybody in the process will get partial refunds and 1 rush repair drone. Anybody who has completed it will receive, well, the best way I can put it this is to just, there you go. You will get 2 rush repair drones if you have already completed it. Can't stress that enough. 70 of those, 2,000 plastids, 10,000 rubido, 20 neural sensors, because I need none of this, 80 carbides, 27 Orokin cells. Yeah, there are new players that would kill for this. There are people who have done the quest who would kill to have some of these resources back. Well, now you do. That was unnecessary though. 10 Argon crystals? Argon crystals expire. So if you have anything that you need Argon crystals for when you log in, build it before they disappear. So it could just be 21 things refunded because, yeah. 6,500 salvage. More importantly, to a lot of players, is 5.4 million credits returned if you have completed the Rising Tide quest. It is a refund for that, and it's 2 rush repair drones instead of just the 1. One of the big things that is noteworthy is, have you ever had this happen to you before, where you're firing and you may kill yourself or knock yourself down using your guns? Now, what happens is, well, nothing. Okay, not a thing. You will basically self-knockback. And I do in fact have damage enabled. I am not invincible. You can see it in the top right. It's not grey. Okay, what? Oh, we had mouse mechanics, but okay. But now what it will do is it will knock you back instead of killing you. That I actually like. It's doing a... That was not me, however. So, can kind of counter it by rolling out of the way of it. Sometimes that is really hard to time. I did it before, but I cannot get that to do it again. But for more severe ones, which I thought the Brahma would be, it'll do that. Straight up ragdoll the Warframe. And the counter seems to kind of be automatic. You can see the automatic blocking there at distance. So it's range based. So if you are too close, there is ragdoll. Massive ragdoll. But there was slight ragdoll. It did do it before. It did this animation. Okay, it doesn't behave the same at all. There you go. It was that one. Just kind of blocking, which is weird. If I shoot the floor next to me, it's still being very weird. It's not doing what I was expecting it to do, which is that, considering the way that this weapon works. It just depends what you hit and how close you are as to how it reacts. This is taking place of self-damage. So you cannot kill yourself at all. This has thrown a lot of, oh, what about chroma into the mix? Yep. Well, as Digital Extreme themselves put it, well, you're not going to ruin all of the weapons for one frame. There is a lot of people that use that frame, but there's also more explosive weapons that are killing players. Now, they don't do that. But there is a... It's not just all explosive weapons that do this now. And this is one that I have to try. For some reason, they've added this to the Shkur, which... There it is. Actually, that is just close enough that, I mean, that is literally 2 meters away. 1 meter. So it's 1 meter range for that one. Because I'm hitting 1 meter range, it goes to 2, and it's not doing anything. That's fine. I expected them to ruin the Shkur doing that because it didn't kind of have that beforehand. They have also added it to the Shadow, which was expected. That's 3, 4, push me back. I'm just going to keep doing this. So this one is within 4 meter range. As you can see, the weapons that are added are the Shkur, the Opticore, the Batacore, the Simulor, the Cyanoid Simulor, Ferox. Yeah, a few of them. Quickly to kind of mention, the Excavation, Health and Shield scaling has been added for the Kuva based missions because, well, if a Lich turned up, they would just annihilate the thing instantly. They should survive more now. And I do love the way that they did this. Titania does have some changes. I'll leave that up there so you can read it if you wish. Also, a link to this entire forum post will be in the description below anyway. But we will get onto the frame changes, specific frame changes later. Mainly because of this long list where they have taken every frame and increased their armor. Apart from the fact that it goes from Equinox to Gora and there seems to be a letter missing there. But dear old Rhino is still down here. It's nothing like favoritism now, is there? Rhino Prime gets a speed buff. Rhino gets an armor buff. Frost gets nothing. Anyway, the biggie about this is all frames will have more armor. Going from 15 to 100 for frames like Banshee, Volt. I know Volt's down there. Nyx. Never really knew Zephyr had 15. Probably did. Probably gone on about it in the past. But yeah, she now has 100. Trinity has 100. Their Prime variants also have an increase. I mean, Trinity Prime went from 15 to 125. That's a huge increase. Any with 65 is now 100. This is not the first time they've done that, and I'm pretty sure Frost has more than armor than Rhino anyway. I'm just being petty about the speed buff because I still think Frost Prime should sprint faster than normal Frost because Rhino's does, so does Saren. Just favoritism. Then there is the other huge thing, which is basically greater than 100% status now has a meaning. As you know, if you take crit past, I think it's like 120%, 125%, it can start to turn red, which... Exactly. There was a meaning behind that. Can't remember what it is, just know it's better. Well, there's a lot of weapons that max out at 100% status. Now, you can go past that. If you can get a shot with 200% status chance, for example, it means that it will use both status effects. Blast and Toxin being the example that they use. This greatly changes a lot of weapons and a lot of builds. There are secondaries I can think of that go to 100 and are really good, some primaries that do the same thing, some melees, but the big changes because of this come down to shotguns. Because shotguns will now have this detail in their description. The damage per projectile, which is really useful for a lot of different things, as long as you don't look at the heck and go, status is 0%. That's nice. But things like the Corneath, 6%. That's not really that good either. There are so many different ones that should have a much higher status percent. Oh, okay, the Phage has a 93% status chance. Granted, each projectile will do 5 viral damage, and that still has damage per projectile, and the boar, damage per projectile. But anyway, the way they mentioned it wasn't basically working the way that it could, and this is actually going to be better. No matter which way they put it, this is a buff, because each round is going to be doing more damage than it was before. Each individual projectile will be doing more damage than it did before, which means that the Tigress Prime, that can do many tens of thousands of damage, will be doing that split across each individual projectile instead of the total that wasn't correctly being spread across each projectile. So shotguns, massive buff. Massive. And yes, there is a lot of things in here, like added companion invincibility into the simulacrum, which was supposed to be changed, but weirdly enough does not look like this, which is actually in a message that says that is in there but isn't actually in there. There is the gear wheel, has some general fixes and everything else to it, and I could go in, but it's just as easy to do that. That is actually going to make things so much easier. Basically adding drag and drop. It's insane how useful that is going to be. There is the field of view, which used to be 78 max, is now 90. I know a few people are actually looking forward to that. I think mine is just set whatever the standard is. There is grenade markers. They will now leave a waypoint on the floor so you can see them and shoot them. Usually they just attach to you, you roll and leave them behind though. So that was never really that useful anyway. Then, let's just jump into this, shall we? But, that being said, shield gating is now a thing. Where, if you shoot them in the weak spot, it just takes off the shield. It does not affect health. Oh, I should have taken my sentinel off and let them get their shields back. Ah, it's not recharging. That's good to know, actually. That has a shield. Aim for the leg. Shield gone. You have a shield? Shield gone. Shields do not recharge anymore. You can see that it's not recharging, which means now they are open to damage. This is what they are referring to as shield gate that I've heard a few people complain about. It means now you are going to end up with enemies that have shields on them. Corpus already had shields anyway, so that's kind of a meaningless point, but now it will do no damage if you shoot them in the leg, as you can see from most of these that still have all their damage. But if you shoot them in their sensitive areas, there's a joke there, some people who watch the dev stream will understand, but that delicate area didn't work. If you shoot them in the head, it will still do damage. That one, that's the important one I was hoping would happen. Shoot it in the head, and, well, that should happen. Or that. Or that. I didn't even fire for that one. But shoot them in the leg, nothing happens. With the weak spot being seen using Banshee's ability here, it broke the shield and did damage to health. Not a lot, but it still did damage to health. So the weak points that are made available with people like Banshee, who will not turn around and look at the camera, thank you, that will still work. The shield gate basically means you can no longer one-shot the enemy by shooting them in the chest, or in the leg, or anywhere where the weak point isn't. So you have to break the shields before that. The same goes for Warframes themselves, or should. They said it was going to. Obviously the only way to figure this out, why did you just teleport there, is to, wow, my sentinel is one-shotting you. Should have known that. But you can see, no damage really to health or anything else. There's a ton of fixes and changes for the Railjack controls, one of the big ones being the fixed reticle in the middle. You can see it on the right here. It's fixed, so as you are flying, no more of that on the left, where it's showing you where you're going to be rather than just showing you where you are going. It got kind of confusing and annoying for shooting. That's the important thing. It was annoying for shooting the cannons. Now, it should be a little bit better. 100, yes, 100 large anything blueprints. There is energy restore that's in here and shield. That is huge for me because since I am not with Cephalon Suda, I cannot get my hands on the large shield recharges just the medium ones or the small ones, and they build in tens. I have those. I can now start building those. But to be able to build these, they are clan tech. Shield and energy, as with the other ones, are inside of the Corpus Lab. In the Chem Lab, of course, the Grenier Lab, there should be ammo. And lastly, in the Infested Lab, the Bio Lab, you can find health. The only real noteworthy thing about Kuva Liches, because there's a bunch of stuff about Kuva weapons spawning, the Larvalings not spawning, and fixes to visual effects and everything else, is simply this first line that means that Murmurs from actually trying to take out and failing to take out your Kuva Lich, or anybody's Kuva Lich, if somebody tries to take out theirs, you will receive the Murmur that they also receive if they fail to take it out. Obviously, if they manage to take out their Kuva Lich, then you will get nothing. But if it fails, and usually I think it's about 10 times the Murmur from just taking out a Thrall. Yeah, the Thralls are shared amongst all players in the squad. No matter where you are on the map, it is shared. Now, same thing for Kuva Liches. And hopefully this will mean that people may actually start to try to take out their Kuva Liches instead of letting them spawn and then running away from them, which became a thing that I've seen quite a bit recently, trying to get my Shakur better, and is annoying. And then when there's two of you there, one comes in and it's not yours, and the other guy says, well, it's not mine. Kind of clear whose it is. If it's not yours and there's two people there and the other person says it's not theirs either, it's, well, if it's not yours, it can only be one other person's. Of course, they can say the same thing, and maybe it isn't theirs and it's yours and it's just bugged. Which is a possibility, and that's where I've kind of been hoping it's been going, rather than people just ignoring the Lich and just taking out the Thralls, because when they get all three researched, that's when they want to start taking out the Kuva, the Lich, because it's easier, because they're level 1. Yeah, well, now it's shared, so help out other players like they are helping you while trying to farm that Murmur. Not, of course, to forget the AI aimbots. Now they actually have, as bad as it's going to sound, they have less of a chance of one-shotting you than they had before. They have basically turned down their accuracy. They can say as much as they want, they can call it AI aimbotting, but they have basically turned it down, so there is less of a chance of an enemy shooting once at you and taking you out. Everything else, honestly, there is so much in here. I will have to pick out a lot of this, like the Titania stuff, and do that later. What I do want to end this with is the thing I've been trying to do this whole time and keep forgetting about. Ooh, there is a new thing for Ivora. That is actually pretty handy to have, and I don't quite know why it is sitting there staring at me. There's actually a few things. First one being, oh, look at all of these lovely quests. This one hasn't been done. This is a timetable to the new war. It is a subcategory. Do not get excited that this is here. I could very easily title this, "The new war has arrived," using this screenshot and saying, there it is, you can now go play it, just click on that. No. First off, nobody would believe us, and second off, it is a gateway showing the quests that lead you to that point. The prologue, era, and the upcoming one that is soon. Very soon, actually. But they have just added them to a subcategory, so they're all in the same place. Makes this whole thing much cleaner. But at the same time, not so much, because, well, you still have the War Within down here, which can get kind of confusing, because that pretty much looks the same as that. Ish. I mean, it's not exactly, that's red and that's orange. Looks absolutely nothing like it, but it's a look down a corridor with beams of light coming from the end. And that one's just particles, like that's particles. And we could be really picky about this, but it's not really worth it. Subcategory of quests, not a new one. If you see it, don't think they've added it yet. go to Universe, go to Relics and Arcanes. Yes, I have to touch on this one. They have changed all Arcanes. Now it will go to rank 5. Rank 5 is supposed to be the equivalent of double of a rank 4. I think that's the case. I would have to go to that one and go, well, I have 2 of these. One of them is maxed. Or not. I know for a fact I have this on Frost. So, go in and I didn't. And it used to be rank 3, it used to go to not 4. 21 spare Arcanes to max out any Arcane. 21. Oh, wow, actually. That is not fair. Because now I think about it, I actually have some Arcanes for weapons that I can no longer use. Oh no. Oh no. Ah. They're actually a step ahead of me here. I look down from the upgrade button. It's like, I need 11 to max this out. You can distill maxed ones you have to upgrade the non-maxed one. That should, in theory, max it. Because it will return the 10 Arcanes used, and you can then infuse them into other ones. So go in, that Arcane Grace I was on about before, if I try to put that in, it just comes up as equipped. Cannot equip 2 of the same. Obviously, that was the same, you cannot do that anyway, but a second one that's the same as that one, same thing. You cannot install multiple Arcanes of the same type. Now, you can, however, run 2, which you could do anyway. So you increase the first one using the second one you were using and add another one in there to add more perks, because a lot of these are actually really useful. But honestly, I think I may have had a couple frames that did that. I tend to run 2 Arcanes, or I tend to run the Arcane Helmet because, well, it just locked that slot anyway, so I never had a chance to use it. Arcane Helmet is being used, cannot use that Arcane. The Helmet took a place of that. That Arcane Helmet, by the way, increases Frost's armor and is not available unless you buy it off me for 7 million platinum, because that's my last one. I actually accidentally sold the one I was using and luckily had a blueprint for one. But yeah, they changed the DNA look out as well, because that's the Kuva DNA and it looks kind of different. I never noticed that, mainly because of where it is. That could have been changed ages ago. But anyway, as always, link in the description below. There is an insane amount of things that have been added to this, but what everybody is kind of waiting for now is the event to start. They said just after this update there'll be an event, hopefully not today, because there's a lot to do in this. But anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. I have some points to do, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.